These people were brought down to their knees, humiliated to the lowest level. And this is the way they were when we found them. Infested with lice. We dared not touch them for fear of getting lice on ourselves. Typhus disease. Of course, the first thing we tried to do was to get them medical assistance. We had our own 105th Medical Battalion available and started giving them medical care according to their needs. We had a quartermaster company that was trying to provide them with food as best they could. Initially, they were giving them food, but immediately they were vomiting it up. Their bodies were not used to this rich food that we had been used to eating. So they had to be rationed very, very closely with their food, given very limited amounts 2 or 3 times a day. During the course of the first 2 days, many of these people died. Many were seriously ill. Something had to be done with these people. They had no housing, and it just happened to fall my lot to be responsible to get them out of Farsleben. This was a battle zone. The battle was still going on. Farsleben was still under artillery attack from the Germans. It was my duty to round up from our quartermaster company and other units as many vehicles as we could possibly locate. Get them to Farsleben and load these Jews on those vehicles and get them out of there. Well, where to take them? The previous day, we had liberated the town of Hillersleben. And at Hillersleben was an air base, a research center, and several large barracks, which had been evacuated by the German personnel. So this was the destination that we had for these people. Now, it's a simple matter of driving down the road from point A to point B. But it was not so simple back in those days, because at point C and point D, the bridges were blown out. So we had to take a very devious route in order to get from point A to point B. Being a liaison officer, it was my duty to travel day and night from the division headquarters to the regimental headquarters. And I had to travel these back roads. And I knew many of these back roads and the deviations that were necessary to get from one point to another. And that's why this job fell to my lot. So I led this convoy from Farsleben to Hillersleben, and there deposited these frail pieces of humanity to the American military government that was in control of the area at that point. They were detrucked. Men and women were separated, ordered to take off their clothing. Their clothing was put into a pile and burned. It was so lice-infested, it could not be laundered. The people were marched through showers. They were dusted with DDT, which today is a violation of all the laws, but that was the best technology that we had at the time. They were given clean clothing, which had been procured from the local German population, and then by groups, they were assigned space in these barracks. Now that ended my job. I delivered these people to Hillersleben, and my job ended there. I had to go back to Farsleben and the Magdeburg area. We were still fighting the war, and my work had to continue there. So, in effect, I said goodbye to these people. And now, 65 years later, we're coming full circle. Through the efforts of Matt Roselle a few years ago, and he's told you the story, you've read it on the screen, how he has located many of these survivors. And today, we're gathered here together, liberators and survivors. It's a very emotional meeting for all of us. Most of these survivors have never met each other before. They had met unknowingly in 1945 as young children, but now, 65 years later, we're all grown up a little bit more, and this is an emotional meeting for them, meeting each other and meeting us as their liberators. So as I said, we have come full circle, and it's a very happy event today. I wish there was more of these people known about and were here present today, but we've done all that we could to get as many as we could together. The thing we need to remember is to never, never let such a dramatic event ever happen again. By letting one man get into total control of the population and dictating the destiny of these people. One of the very nice things that I have found in being in contact with many of these survivors, many of whom were not here, but I keep in contact with them through email, is knowing that these people were considered the scum of the earth, trash. They were destined for the crematorium. But yet we saved them, and they have risen from the ashes and have become proud citizens of America and other allied countries. They have become engineers. They have become lawyers. They have become doctors. So many of you all have become professional people. And I often wonder about the 6 million Jews that perished at Auschwitz, Buchenwald. What this world would be like today if so many of those people had survived. Let us never forget the Holocaust. Thank you.